as we proceed with the webinar. But first, to take us through the first section of the webinar, I would like to welcome my colleague Reginald Mafumo to take us through the first section of the webinar. Over to you, Reggie.
Thank you, Mashiri. Thank you, colleagues, for joining this call. My name is Reginald Mafumo. I'm with the Water and Energy for Food program as the energy technology and policy expert. Next slide, please. So today's agenda, I'll go through the Open Call for Innovations overview. Then my colleague Mashiri will take over and go through some of the frequently asked questions. And thereafter, we'll have a question and answer session. Then lastly, we'll have just a 1 minute survey. I think Mashiri will talk to that later on. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is the Open Call for Innovations overview. I'll just go through, and what we are basically aiming for is to co-create scalable solutions for biogas systems in Zimbabwe. I think some of you are aware that last year, between August and November, we did an assessment of whether it was feasible for scaling biogas programs or biogas projects in Zimbabwe. And we did finalize that by December. And we thought that we could go ahead. So we're basically trying to co-create scalable solutions for biogas systems in Zimbabwe. Also to deploy a combination of grants, technical assistance, and or investment facilitation. We're also aiming to help innovators improve their ability to scale commercially, attract and secure outside investors, and integrate ESG themes into business models. ESG is basically environment, social, and governance. Each award will be between $10,000 and $30,000 in a value of 1:1 match basis. But this can also include in-kind contributions. So if you apply for 10,000, we expect you to also match with 10,000, but it doesn't have to be strictly in cash. It can also be in kind. In kind may basically mean that you can contribute staff time, so on and so forth. The period that we're looking at is a maximum of about one and a half years. So we hope to contract around December, January, up to next year, up to 2025 June. Next slide, please. So what process are we going to follow, or what process are we following? How do you get a partnership through Water Energy for Food Open Call for Innovation Partnerships for this particular call? So the period that we are in right now is exploring interests and also looking forward to submission of concept notes from the innovators. The innovators are the private companies or the biogas companies who are on this call. And after that, we will go through a process whereby we will review the concept notes. The Regional Innovation Hub will go through, basically reviewing what has been submitted. Then thereafter, we'll select a few other companies. Then we'll go through the full call for proposals. This is after the concept note. So we'll select those who would have succeeded in the first stage, that is on the call for concept notes. They will be asked to develop full proposals. And after that, we'll basically go through interviews. That will be between September and November. And we hope that by that time, by November, December, we should be finalizing awarding up to 5 companies that would have succeeded in the full call for proposals. Next slide, please. So, which are our target groups in this call? So WE4F works on entrepreneurship and innovation through the following actors. We are looking at private, for-profit companies, non-profits, or universities that maintain their own budget and are responsible for generating their own revenue. So let me repeat again: private, for-profit companies, non-profit companies, or universities that maintain their own budget and are responsible for generating revenue. Others are identified on case-by-case basis. So in order to ideally target the following end users, we are also looking at innovators who basically have women, smallholder farmers as their target groups within their business. So we are not entirely saying that you should only be focusing on women, smallholder farmers, but at least you should have a component of that in your target groups or in your business. Other base of the pyramid customers working in all parts of agriculture value chain are also ideal in this call. Can you go to the next slide, please? So in terms of eligibility, we are looking at number one, legally incorporated, registered for profit, business, and not-for-profit organization or academic institutions, which are responsible for generating their own income, like I mentioned earlier on. In terms of the size, we don't have any restrictions on the organization size. And in terms of location, we are looking at applications that must be legally registered in Zimbabwe. In terms of matching funds, like I said earlier on, grant awardees must demonstrate one-to-one matching fund. And let me repeat again, this is not strictly in cash, but it can also be in kind. So what impact are we looking at? This must include manufacture, distribution, retail of biogas systems that have a direct, tangible linkage between water, energy, and food value chains, food value chains. Innovations must directly or indirectly benefit the poor, contribute to gender equality, and strive to avoid negative environment impacts. I think you keep on seeing the ESG issues coming in. They're quite pertinent in this call, and also to the water and energy for food program as a whole. May you go to the next slide, please, Tewogo? So I'll also go through what will be supported in this call and what would a successful innovation would look like, or what a successful innovation. Hello? What a successful innovation would look like. So have a financially sustainable business model. So this goes to private companies, non-profits, or academic organizations. The focus should be on biogas systems in Zimbabwe. Should they have a well-defined plan for expansion? Build sustainability into the fabric of intended expansion. So issues to do with sustainability are quite pertinent as well. I think we should also demonstrate that, how do you move forward after implementing this under this call? How do you envisage the future after implementing whatever program you're going to implement under this program. You should also understand the local enabling environment for technology and business innovations. So understanding the policy and the legal frameworks within the sector are also quite important. Issues to do with standards, issues to do with regulation. So you should be aware also what the Standards Association of Zimbabwe has in terms of the standards, and also understand the Zimbabwe Energy Regulatory Authority regulations in as far as the biogas technology is concerned. You should also be able to promote user-centered design, not technology for the sake of technology. So you should be able to demonstrate that you are responding to the need of the end users. Should also demonstrate direct or strong indirect benefits for the poor, which is quite important. Show how the innovation benefits women. Again, this is coming up again. So you should also be able to demonstrate that. Have a basic understanding of ESG issues and showcase strong commitment to integration. Have a gender balanced team that can scale up innovation in a sustainable manner. Next slide, please. So these are some of the things that we will not support. We are not looking to select innovators that will fail to demonstrate a proven track record of sustainable sales and service delivery, fail to demonstrate how they can eventually ensure sustainable benefits in line with WE4F goals. We will not support innovators who fail to demonstrate positive impact on the poor and women. Innovators will fail to demonstrate positive impact on the environment, or at least that they can cause no negative effects on the environment. Innovators will focus on research and development for a product without a clearly defined market or proven market demand. Innovators who have not reached the minimum of 1,000 end users per innovation. So 1,000 end users, we are not saying 1,000 biogas systems, but we're saying if I think in Zimbabwe we say per family we are looking at about 6. The multiplier effect is about 6. So if you have done maybe around 150 or 200 or 100, then those are direct end users or direct beneficiaries. So basically the end users that we're talking about are beneficiaries. These may be direct or they may be indirect. So we are looking at a threshold of about 1,000. Next slide, please. So we will not support innovators who do not operate legally or who are not legally registered, we are not a legally registered entity in Zimbabwe. Innovators who focus on sustainable water and energy access without explicit benefit to the food sector. Innovators who focus on agriculture products and services without a significant and sustainable water or energy efficiency component. We will not support innovators who develop big infrastructure projects. I think Mashiri later on will talk to this, my colleague. We also not support innovators that are large corporations for which the sale of WE4F related products or services do not represent a significant portion of revenue or it is not a priority. We will not support government entities or individuals. Next slide, please. So this is the criteria that we'll use to select the successful innovators. So number one, we will look at innovation viability, and let me qualify that. We'll look at the innovation description. We'll look at how does innovation provide value to women, smallholder farmers, and base of pyramid customers, and differ from existing products. We'll also look at customer segments, and this will carry a weight of 35%. We'll also look at business and financial viability, and specifically, we'll look at revenue and plans for expansion, total addressable and potential market shares, and product or service costs. And this will carry a weight of 30%. Application and sustainability, ESG in developing ESG in Zimbabwe, let me put it that way. So we'll look at intended geographies. So these are targeted areas that the innovators will look at. We'll also look at local partnerships and also relation to environment, social, and governance topics, gender, environment, and base of pyramid, and this will carry a weight of 35%. Next slide, please. So I'll stop here, and this is the link to the call for innovations, and this can be found in the chat box for those who haven't really accessed this. I think Tebogo has put that in the chat box. And for now, I'll stop here and hand over to my colleague Mashiri.
Thank you so much, Reggie, for the presentation. So what we're going to do now is to go through some of the frequently asked questions that we receive from potential applicants, and we'll also provide the responses that you should also be aware of. But I think before we start doing that, as Reggie said, you would have noticed that my colleague Fiolo has already dropped the application link, the concept note submission link in the chat box. So please, if you haven't already, make use of that link to submit your concept note. And again, our chat box is also open for questions that you might have. So we're going to go through these frequently asked questions for now, and at the end I'll pause and check again if there's any questions in the chat box that may need us to address. So with this, I'm going to be assisted by my colleague Yuan, who is going to be going through the questions, and I will be providing the responses.
Okay, so question one: if we are based outside the target country, in this case Zimbabwe, are we eligible to apply?
So you are only eligible if you are operational or intend to introduce your innovation in Zimbabwe. So you have to be legally registered in Zimbabwe, unless if you're working through a partner who is already legally registered and operational in the country.
Question two: what is the deadline for submitting a concept note?
So there is no particular deadline to this because applications will be received and reviewed on a rolling basis. However, I need to emphasize and encourage you to submit your concept notes as soon as possible, because as you might have heard my colleagues say earlier on, once we have received enough applications, we will close off the opportunity. So please do make sure that you submit your concept notes as soon as possible.
Okay. Question three: am I eligible to apply as an individual?
No. So individuals unfortunately cannot apply to this opportunity. You need to be a registered organization or entity so that you can apply to this opportunity. And you need to also make sure that you are not a government entity.
Question 4, is it required that the applicant must be the proprietary owner of the innovation, or can the innovation be from another company and the applicant wants to import and promote this innovation in the Southern Central African region?
So the applicant can either be the proprietary owner of that innovation that they're proposing, or they need to be in a consortia with the proprietary owner of that innovation.
Question 5, if my company started in 2022 but already has the required client base, can I apply?
Absolutely, you can apply if your company was started in 2022, but you need to be able to demonstrate that your company is a stable entity with functional operations, and more importantly, that you can demonstrate an end user base of at least 1,000.
Question 6, is it, okay, it kind of leads on from that point. Is it 1,000 end users reached in total?
So if you're a company with multiple products and you want to apply with one of those products or innovations, then you must demonstrate the total number of your current client base or end users that are related to that specific innovation that you've applied to. And I think if I could expand on this, I think what the applicant was trying to understand is to say, if I have multiple product lines, one of them is biogas systems, another one, for argument's sake, is solar water pumps. Can I bundle together my the total number of end users and customers from solar water pumps, from biogas systems, and from some farming operation as well? Can I bundle them together and count them as my total end users? And the response we are giving is to say, you need to provide us the figures that only relate to the biogas systems innovation that you are proposing to us.
And so it's the biogas systems that must reach this 1,000 end users, not your total end users, if you have other products.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So question 7, are innovations targeting biodiversity conservation eligible, or must it be a production system?
So while our program is really focused on ESG, but if your innovation is only targeting biodiversity conservation but doesn't have a financially sustainable business model, then unfortunately it won't be eligible to apply. So all applications that will be submitted for this opportunity must ensure that they meet all the eligibility criteria.
Okay, question 8, does the impact have to be for the poor, women, and the environment, or impacting one of them is sufficient?
That's another great question as well that we often get. You will not be excluded if you cannot claim an impact in all mentioned areas. However, the more cumulative impact you can claim related to the poor, women, and the environment, the better. So please do take note that we are not saying you need to be like an all-rounder in terms of the impact, but you need to be having an impact in at least one of those focus areas. And if you can demonstrate impact in more than one, even better.
Question 9, how should a company deal with ESG, environmental, social, and governance criteria?
So we expect you to be able to demonstrate a basic understanding of ESG issues, and you should showcase a strong commitment to ESG integration in your business model. And again, we are not saying when you apply, you must again be like really advanced with your ESG implementation, but at least have a basic understanding of what ESG issues are and how they need to be addressed. And we will make sure that we will be able to help you to progress along the ladder, as long as you show a strong commitment to work with us and integrate these ESG issues in your business model.
Okay, question 10, are SMEs that are fully owned by a larger holding company eligible?
So SMEs are encouraged to apply if they meet, first of all the eligibility criteria, and also if they are financially independent with a separate governance from the holding company.
Okay, and question 11, can an NGO apply?
Yes, NGOs can apply, but again, they need to prove that they are market oriented. They need to prove that their innovation that they are proposing is scalable, that innovation has got a sustainable revenue model, and this is very important to demonstrate. So you'll find that traditional NGO development projects that only seek grant funding but do not really have clients or cannot demonstrate a sustainable revenue model will not be able to will not be supported under this program.
Question 12, are education academic institutions eligible to apply to this call? So, open call for innovations.
Yes, educational and academic institutions are welcome to apply, but they need to make sure that they a proven market proven financially sustainable business model related to that innovation that they want to apply with.
And question 13, can a government university be a partner of the group?
So government entities are not eligible to apply for this call. However, a publicly funded university can take part as a partner of the group or consortium as long as it is not the lead institution. And again, you might have heard me earlier on saying you might want to partner with a locally registered company. So if that lead partner becomes the applicant, then definitely a publicly funded university can then become a partner to that and submit an application together with that lead partner.
Okay, number 14, what is the acceptable range for matching funds?
So under this program, WE4F requires a one-to-one match ranging between 10,000 to 30,000 US dollars. And this match must be already secured and must be used for WE4F activities. And please note, as my colleague Reg has already alluded to, in-kind funding is also acceptable. And I think what is really important for me to stress here is to say, it's one thing to demonstrate that you've got matching funds, but also we would require that those funds be used for this specific WE4F project.
Okay, and number 15, should financial statements be provided in English, or can they also be provided in other languages?
So all documents and communication under this program will be in English.
And number 16, can a joint venture of two companies apply together to meet the application criteria?
Yes, you can apply as a joint venture led by one lead applicant, but again, you need to demonstrate that there's a true partnership, not a partnership that has just been formed kind of quickly for the sake of this opportunity. You also need to demonstrate that within that partnership or joint venture, the roles are clearly defined, and also that there's a complementarity that you're bringing to the project by virtue of you partnering. I think this takes us to the end of like the frequently asked questions. So this obviously may not have answered all the questions that you might have, or you might have some follow-up questions. So at this point, I will just pause here and check if there are any other questions in the chat box that we might need to address.
Hi, Mr. Yes, there are a few questions. Okay, I will also just announce them publicly so that everyone has the same information. Regarding the presentation, we will have a recording of the session uploaded onto our YouTube platform, the WE4F YouTube platform. Should a request for the presentation be made, specifically, we can upload that onto the website as well. And then there are some follow-on questions. Okay, so Paul had asked, I see that there's a water and energy for food grand challenge. Should the proposals include all aspects, which includes water, energy for food, or maybe one can focus on water and food security? Is it mainly focus on biogas, or is it a must to have biogas in it?
Thanks, Sebo, and thanks, I think you said Paul, for that question. So as the name suggests, with the water, energy, we focus on water, energy, food, right, in the nexus, but innovations under WE4F generally, I'm going to speak generally, and then I will speak on specifically to the biogas, Zimbabwe Biogas Call. So generally under WE4F, innovations either have to be water, energy, food. That's number one. Or they can be water, food, or they can be energy, food. So one of those three is what actually qualifies the innovation for us to say it fits within the nexus. So when it comes to the Zimbabwe Biogas Call, most of the innovations would generally or ordinarily be energy, food. But of course, we look forward to seeing what innovations you'd have, whether they also have some water food component or they have all the three components, the water, energy, food component. So I think to respond to your question, it doesn't have to be all three. It can be all three or one of the two.
Okay, there's a question from Gadi Banda. Okay, so I'm going to state the question and the answer that was given, and if you have any additions, please chime in. So my innovation has just got a demonstration unit, not customers. Can I be able to apply because I would like to roll it out to the public? So Yuan did respond to this, stating that the call is specifically focused on biogas in Zimbabwe, so it needs to include that and be focused on biogas systems, manufacture, distribution, etc. Okay, we do have another question. Is the 1,000 a target or actual numbers of customers that an organization actually has at present? So the response to that is that projects need to be beyond demonstration as to reach the minimum criteria of 1,000 end users. Okay, Gadi Banda had a follow-on question that has not been responded to as yet. My point is that the innovation can reach 1,000 customers, but as of now, it just needs to be rolled out to the public. Is it fine at the demonstration unit? This question requires an answer.
Yeah, maybe I can take this one, to Boga. So I think, you know, the 1,000 end users is the kind of, you know, ideal minimum threshold, and we would, you know, like the company, you know, applicants to reach that 1,000 end user minimum. But if you are, you know, close to that, you know, then I think we definitely still encourage you to apply. If you're, you know, a long way from 1,000, and you know you've only installed one system which is only, you know, reaching 100 people, you know, or sorry, maybe even like 20 people, then probably you know, then you're probably not going to be able to be accepted. So we, you know, ideally want the successful applicants to have reached 1,000 end users. If you haven't, yeah, as I said, if you haven't quite got there yet, then please still apply. But yeah, if you're a very long way from that, then I think it's going to be unlikely. So I hope that answers the question. Thanks.
Okay, we have another question. Can one apply for a bigger ticket beyond the 30,000?
Thanks, Tebogo. So our ticket sizes range from 10,000 to 30,000. So at the moment, our maximum ticket size is 30,000, and unfortunately, at the moment, cannot go beyond that.
And the final question that was asked, can I include equipment or accessories imported into Zimbabwe? This was answered, yes, with a 500,000 K-caps limit per line item.
It's actually 5,000 and 500,000. 5,000.
5,000. So there are no more additional questions.
Okay, if there are no more additional questions, I'm just gonna make one final call. If there's anyone with a follow-up question or a final question that they want us to address, just to make sure that everyone has got their questions answered.
Okay, there's a question regarding sending the link to the recording. The link that is provided in the chat right now, there will be a recording uploaded to that link. So this should be within the next, between 2 to 7 days, the recording will be available on the YouTube channel, but you can access that via the WE4F website.
All right, I guess that is the last question, right? But I think if you could just go to the next slide before we get to the end of this webinar. So first of all, before you get off this call, I would really ask you to scan this QR code with your phone and take a 1-minute survey. And this is a survey really just for you to tell us how this webinar went. And the purpose of that is so that we can take your feedback and make sure that our webinars going forward are always improved. So please take a minute to scan this QR code and take the survey, and we really appreciate your feedback. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you to get started with your applications already, to submit your concept notes. Please don't wait for the next day. Just make sure that you submit your concept note as soon as possible. It's really a short submission that you're making, so it won't take like a lot of your time. Don't wait until the next day or the next week, because we might get the numbers that we're looking for before you submit your application. And in the event that you still have any questions or you encounter new questions as you try to submit your applications, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us via email. You can email us. I'm not sure if I've got a slide that can show us. There it is. You can email us at we4fafrica@tetratech.com with your questions, and we'll be more than happy to respond to your questions.
Okay, there's a question on how do we scan the code using our phones. If you open your camera and open your camera and towards the screen, it should pick up the barcode, and you'll be able to access the link from there.
So I'm just gonna maybe pause for a minute or so, just to allow those who are opening their cameras to make sure that they can scan and have the survey on their phones before we can conclude the webinar. So I'm just going to pause for a few more seconds. All right, I guess you've had an opportunity to scan the QR code, and like I said, we'll really look forward to receiving your feedback and to make sure that our webinars improved from time to time. So this really leaves me to thank all of you for showing interest in this Zimbabwe Biogas Open Call for Innovations and making time to come to this webinar. We really look forward to receiving your concept notes, and we can't wait to get to know all the interesting stuff that you're doing in the Zim Biogas space. Thank you very much, and do have yourselves a lovely afternoon going forward.